Good evening all. My name is Rajkumar Bosle. Today's date is 10 August 2021. Today's video topic is constructor in Java. In Java, constructor is a block of code similar to the method. It is called when instance of the class created. At the time of calling constructor, memory is allocated. When we create an object, every time the constructor is called. Constructor is used to initialize the object, and there are some rules of the constructor. Constructor has must be same name as of the class name. Then second is the constructor has a no return type. Then third is the constructor has no final keyword or static keyword or synchronization keyword. The constructor has a constructor has a private, public, and protected and default access specifiers, which is used to access it. Then let's see what is the need of the constructor. Let's take an example. If we create an class test, if we create two variables, int id or in string name. If we create an in public static void main, if we create an object test t1 is equal to new test t1, to initialize the object, the default constructor is available. In every class, the default constructor must be available. Every time the value is assigned to the id is the default value of integer, that is 0, or for a name the default value of string, that is null. If you create thousands of the objects, then that time same values are assigned to the id and the name. Because of default constructor is the purpose of default constructor is give the default value of the integer or string variable to the to the variables. That is why this is to assigning the variables and to initialize the object the constructor is used. Then there are types of the constructor. There are three types of constructor. There is first one is a default constructor with no argument. The second one is a no argument constructor created by user, and third is a parameterizer constructor. In first constructor, default constructor is created by the compiler when the constructor is not created by the developer. Means the developer create the constructor. When developer will create the constructor, compiler do not create the constructor. Simply means that compiler create a constructor only when the developer not create the constructor. Then second one is no argument, means the in parenthesis the no argument is given. And the second one is no argument constructor created by the user. This constructor is created by the user with no argument. And third one is a parameterizer constructor. In parameterizer constructor, if we create a parameterizer constructor, that must be the default constructor must be created by the developer. This is a if developer create a parameterizer constructor, it is a responsibility of the developer to create a default constructor. The parameter constructor means we can parameterizer constructor used to initialize or give the different values to the different constructors. Then next is a copy constructor. In copy constructor, this is in Java the copy constructor is the copy constructor is not available, but we can copy the object of value of one object to the another object by using three methods: by using the constructor, by using the clone method, by using assigning the one value, by using assigning the object of one value to the other value. Let's see how to copy the copy constructor by using the constructor. Let's take an example. Create an class student with two variables, integer student id, and then next is a string name. create a default constructor, and then create a constructor student one. In student one, create one parameter as a constructor. Student one passes the int id and string name parameters. Then this with this keyword is used to this keyword is used to currently object and currently value to the local variables. This id is equal to id, or this name is equal to name. Then create another constructor parameter as a constructor as a student 2, which passes the constructor of the student 1 that is a constructor s1. Then this id is equal to id, or this name is equal to name. Then in public static void main, then another class, create my class in public static void main, create a object that is student is equal to s1 is equal to new student, and that is give the give the id as 111 and name is Rajkumar. And in second object that is create student student is s2 is equal to new student. In that we pass the constructor s1 that gives the s1, and create one method in white display method. Display method sys out the name and id, which display the s1 dot display and s2 dot display the id and the name. But next is the concept of overloading. In the next is concept is the overloading of constructor. As we know that we can overload the constructor as like the method overloading. The overload constructor is the in overloading a constructor. The constructor name is same and with different parameters. Every constructor is has a different task to do to perform this different task. Let's take an example of overloading of constructor. Take an example. Let's create a class test with int id and string name. With the constructor test with parameterized constructor, create a parameterized constructor test int id and string name with then create another in this constructor sys out I am in constructor 1, and create another parameterized constructor the test 1 and int id and string name, and sys out I am in parameter constructor 2. Then create my class public static void main in method, and create an object test is equal to t1 is equal to new test. When we call the constructor of test, then we passes the argument as a 111 and Rajkumar. It's called the it's called the second constructor, because the output is the first we assign the value for first object, that is 1 or Rajkumar. Then for second constructor, that is what we have assigned the value for the time of the object creation, that is the output. That is called as the constructor overloading. Let's see difference between the what is constructor and method. The constructor must be constructor name must be the class name, but the in a method is the call to the object behavior of the object for the method is used to expose the behavior of the object. The constructor must know have the return type, but method has a return type. The constructor is invoked automatically and method is not invoked automatically. The constructor Java compiler provide when the constructor was created by the developer, Java compiler provide the constructor. but in case of method, the when developer not create the method, the Java compiler does not provide the method. That is the difference between the constructor and methods. Thank you.